All right, ladies and gentlemen, after that amazing felicitation, we now move forward to hear from eminent brand custodians on the iconic Indian brands and how they have reached the pinnacle and what are they doing continuously to keep the legacy strong. So our first speaker for the evening, ladies and gentlemen, is Mr. Mahesh Murthy, founder and CEO for Pinstorm and Seedfund.
Hi, I'm the guy that's first in line to keep you between you and your cocktails and dinner. So I shall try to keep it short and perhaps slightly entertaining. I'm privileged to be here in honored company. A lot of my colleagues from the advertising business that I started out with 35 years ago are here. What I want to talk about is interesting. What has been awarded today are the iconic brands of today. And I want to perhaps open this with a few thoughts for the next few minutes on what will probably create the iconic brands of tomorrow in India. And I believe it will be a very, very different set of rules, a different set of practices that will do that. In terms of introduction, my name is Mahesh. I invest in startups and help build brands. So if you've taken a bus ride with Red Bus, or if you've studied at Career Launcher, or if you've had a beer at Dulali, or if you've bought something from Chumbak, or if you've bought or sold a car on Carvale, or gone to My Dentist, these are some of my brands, companies that I've invested in, where I kind of sort of act as marketing advisor to my own companies. That about some of the other brands I've worked with in the past have been everything from Pepsi and Airtel to Microsoft and ICICI and others, right? So I want to talk about 3 or 4 things, and I'll probably then let my far more wise compatriots here take over. 3 or 4 things have really changed in this business. I started out 35 years ago, and I think this is much nicer. All right. 3 or 4 things have changed. When we started out, we all were told that Kotler is God, and you've got to follow the 4 P's of marketing, and that there's competition is going to rise, and there's going to be many, many brands in a niche, and hence lots of market share is going to be split up between lots of companies. But one interesting thing that's happened is that the opposite has happened. If we start out in the gasoline-powered car world, where there are dozens of brands, and each of them has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5% market share, and the leader is, I think, somebody with 20% market share, Toyota. And you come to the digital world where brands are built for digital, and you take the luxury electric car niche, one brand, Tesla, has over 90% market share. And number 2 brand, BMW i, has 3 or 4% market share. If you come from the unorganized world of coffee shops to the organized world, Starbucks has 70% market share. If you come to the world of carbonated soft drinks, where there's Coke and Pepsi and so many other carbonated, Sprite and 7-Up and so on and so forth, where everybody is fighting for single-digit market share, and even 1% market share gain is a huge thing. And you come to the modern, digital-driven world, and you come to the modern sector there, which is energy drinks. One brand, Red Bull, has 49% market share. Coke's, Monster, and Pepsi's energy drink together have 10% market share. And this is even more extreme in the digital world. Competition is supposed to be rising, but you look at search, Google has 92% market share globally. I bet you can't name 3 search engines in the world. You can name 10 pharmaceutical brands and 5 condom brands. You look at video, one platform, YouTube, has 90% market share. I bet you can't name the number 2 or number 3 platform. You look at mobile chat, WhatsApp has 70% market share. There's probably only 3 businesses out there. And you look at microblogging, one brand has 100% market share. It's called Twitter. There is no number 2 to Twitter. And you can carry on. I mean, in operating systems on the phone, one brand, Android, has 95% market share. Essentially, we're coming from a world where, you used to have 10 brands in the space. I remember learning from Rise and Trout that you remember 7 brands, but now you remember 2 or 3 brands in a niche, right? And typically, the first guy will get 85% market share, the second guy will get 8.5% market share, and the third guy will get 0.85% market share. It's kind of one of those mathematical things, or thereabouts, right? And as an investor, I'm interested in the guy who's getting the biggest market share. So the new brands going forward, the opportunity is that you can take the biggest market share out there. The second interesting thing, Being an investor, I want to be on the side of the guy who has the dominant brands. And in the brands that you see out there, what's really interesting is every single one of these brands we talked about, whether it's a Red Bull, whether it's a Starbucks, whether it's a Tesla, whether it's a Gmail or an Android or a Google or a WhatsApp or a Facebook or a Twitter, any of the digital brands, which each worth tens of billions of dollars, the really interesting thing is they have never advertised in their lives. Right? So the interesting thing is advertising doesn't create market leaders anymore. And that's a good news and bad news because it makes it less expensive for a brand to win. You don't necessarily need a 500 crore advertising budget for you to win. In fact, more often than not, the guy with a bigger ad budget loses, and the guy with a smaller ad budget wins. And I can certainly tell you in my own brands, with Redbus, we spent 0. We got 88% market share before selling out. Carvalho, we spent 0. We got 90% market share. Dulali, if you guys have heard, it's the largest microbrewery brand in India. We spent 0. Chumbak, we don't spend. So essentially, these are things that I live by with my own brands, right? So how exactly do these brands win? So if the first one was dominate, the second key was don't spend. The third key is differentiate through delight. Every one of these brands has grown by the oldest trick in the book, and that's word of mouth. You've never seen these brands advertised, but somebody told you, "Arey yaar, WhatsApp pe aaja." Somebody said, "What? You haven't checked out Tesla?" Somebody said, "What? You must do a Google search." Somebody said, "YouTube pe dekh le." Somebody said, "Go on Tinder." Somebody said, "Go on Twitter." So the trick that modern brands today take is to actually win word of mouth. In many ways, it's going back to the world of 200-300 years ago, 400 years ago, before the Industrial Revolution. The interesting thing is we have today out here the biggest medium in the world. You know, once upon a time, in the world that I grew up in, it used to be television. And before that was print. But today, if I look at, and Vikram is here to give you numbers, but at least according to the census, we have 127 million TV sets. And if you take 2.5 adults per household, that's probably about 280 million viewers on TV. We have 430 million adults already on the internet. So the internet reach is probably about 40-50% more than that of television in India. It is the largest mass medium out there in India today. And you can see that in the elections that just happened, the BJP made great use of the internet, where you can actually create little WhatsApp memes, and just like whatever AAP did to win Delhi by spending 0 and getting 67 seats out of 70, the BJP has done this time to pretty much win on all the places that it was not supposed to win. By basically using digital, but using it at very low cost and not really spending a huge amount of money. So it really comes down to understanding how to offer delight, usually digitally, more Ds and all that we're talking about, and to be able to do that in a way where people spread you and spread the messaging about you by word of mouth and by word of WhatsApp, if you will, from desktop to desktop, from mobile to mobile, that I see many people are on. The last point I wanted to make, and before I get out of your face and spoil your food, is how companies have stopped and changed their thinking about what is in the brand portfolio. Once upon a time, a Unilever used to believe, you know, I have a category. My category is called face care, or my category is called mouth care, my category is called something, right? So I'm doing face care, I'll do use soap. And I'll do hair care. It'll be a big move, and I'll do shampoo. But the thing is today, lots of the biggest brands in the world, you look at the Interbrand list of the 100 biggest brands in the world, Unilever is not there and Procter & Gamble is not there. And number 1 is Google, number 2 is Apple, number 3 is Microsoft out there. And if you look at how these brands have done their own product strategies, it's really interesting. So an Apple started out making desktop computers. It won the business till IBM came in and said, okay, I'm leaving this and going and making laptops. It won that business till Dell and the laptop clones came in and said, okay, I'm going to go and do something entirely different. I'm going to now make music players. There's no connection between music players and laptops. It created that category with iPods and nanos and whatnot, till the Chinese came in and said, I'm going somewhere else and I'm making mobile phones. There's no connection between mobile phones and music players and laptops and desktop. It won that till the Koreans came in and said, I'm going to make watches. There's no connection between watches and mobile phones. And now it's making cars. Look at Google. It's doing pretty much the same thing. It started out with one search without spending anything. It could have done more in search. Instead, it went far away and did email. It won email without doing anything. And instead of doing more in email, they went and did maps. There's no connection. They won everything there without spending anything. Like 100%, 99% market share. And from there, they said, okay, we'll do social networking. They tried with Google+, lost to Facebook, said, acha, theek hai, chodo. And they went and did mobile operating systems, no connection to search or maps, won that. Now they're doing self-driving cars. They're going to the moon. And no connection between anything else. So if earlier you said, I will do soap, and then shampoo. Today's brands are saying, I can go far away, right? If I'm here and I won, and I've got my dominance and 80% market share here. I'll take my seeds, throw it far away, and create dominance there, and create dominance there, and create dominance there. So I'm not going to go to some place close where I get 5% market share, but I have to go somewhere far away where I can win. And increasingly, this kind of creative thinking is really what is changing the entire marketing business. Once upon a time, you were defined by, I'm in the face care business. Today, you have the ability. So what Richard Branson did with white clothes, with Virgin, we have our own version with somebody in orange clothes with Baba Ramdev and Patanjali, right? Where a lever believes it needs one brand for each category, he uses one brand in every category. And he's come in 6 years to 10,000 crores in revenue, which is bigger than Colgate and bigger than Procter & Gamble, maybe 1/3 or 1/2 the size of Unilever, without really spending too much again on advertising. So there is a new world happening out there. The rules that I grew up with in the 70s, not in the 80s and 90s, or even the hundreds, do not so much exist anymore. It's an extraordinary opportunity for startups. You can see the big ones out here who've really made their way. And I was reading the other day that the chairman of HDFC was talking about Paytm, saying, who the hell are they? But look at it. HDFC has 15, 20 million accounts. Paytm has 185 million accounts, right? And gathered in 1/5 or 1/6 the time with 1/50th the money. There is something happening out there. Now, this can be a threat to existing businesses. This can be an opportunity if you understand how the new rules work. There will be iconic brands created. 5 years from now, this list will be very different. And the tools that you have used and the schemes that you have used and the strategies that you've used to arrive on this list will be very different. With that, I want to leave you and say all the best. Let's hope that you continue to be the iconic brands in the future. Thank you very much. Bye.